What is up, everybody? Get in the live. The San Francisco 49ers just beat the Atlanta Falcons 20-10, prime time, under the lights on a Sunday night, and you could not be happier. Get in here and let me know what you're thinking right now. The game is officially over. I am officially live, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about it, but I'm going to jump straight in and waste no time. For those of you that are watching after the fact, we're going to jump in and start with the obvious narrative, okay, of how the 49ers won, which for me tells you everything you need to know about what this team is made of. The San Francisco 49ers went in there and they debunked so many narratives that they have struggled with this season. They went out there without Nick Bosa. They went out there without Fred Warner. They found a way to be a successful defense. They found a way to be a success, to have a successful run game. All of that for me, like just straight up, that by itself makes a massive, massive difference in how this is going to go. What's up, Joe? How's it going, man? Thanks for getting in there. What a game. The run game won this game tonight. The defense was solid all night too. You absolutely better believe it. We're going to be talking about some of that, Joe. Thanks for the takes there. We're going to be talking about that for sure, because that's exactly where I'm coming from on this game. What made this game different for me, it had a similar feel in a way to the Rams game in terms of debunking all of the narratives when everybody thought, like, everyone was talking about the 49ers. They're going to lose this game. Everyone's talking about the 49ers. They're not going to be able to do it without Fred Warner. Everyone's talking about the 49ers. They can't get a run game going. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey's been great, but he can't run the ball anymore. They can't run the ball. This offensive line can't run the ball. And all of that was demystified today. The 49ers go in there and they prove to everybody in the world, this defense can hold back Bijan Robinson. This defense can do it. And this offense can do it too. So yeah, I'm feeling great right now. How are you guys feeling right now? Let me know how you guys are feeling that. We handled that. Absolutely. It was one of those games when if you said to me before the game, it's going to be 20-10, I'm not going to tell you who's going to win. How are you feeling about it? I'm going to feel like, man, 20-10. It doesn't a lot of, on the paper, it sounds like a game that you're like, not, if you're a neutral fan, you're not excited to watch 20-10, but there was nothing about that game that was not exciting to me. Every single part of that game, it had all of the intrigue. It had interest. The game was not over, but it felt like it was the Niners game to lose from the very beginning. I felt like they owned all the way around. Let me know what you guys think. For sure. Like, let me know. I know there's that great take there, Joe. No career night for Mac or KB. We'll still get the dub. You know, interesting you say the KB thing because he had this record that was potentially there in front of him that he wanted to break. But at the end of the day, like, winning is better, right? And you get Juwan Jennings involved. I called this because it was the same exact thing that happened with Deebo Samuel last year, where Deebo Samuel's kind of in a weird little scuffle with Kyle, and there's a little bit of tension there. And the very next game, he gets a ton of touches. Juwan Jennings gets several opportunities that in previous weeks would have been Kendrick Bourne. So fair there. When we get to like why this team really, in my opinion, reversed huge narratives, I think Kittle has to get a lot of credit. That's why I wore his jersey today. Really excited to see him back on the field. You cannot underestimate or overestimate like how much of an impact Kittle has on the team. From the energy on the sideline, from all of the stuff that he brings just as a human being on the field. But then you throw in the fact that like he's one of the best pass catching tight ends. He is the best pass catching tight end in the league. He's one of the best receivers in the league. And you didn't even need that from him because he's such an incredible run blocker. He brings so much to this offense that we forget about it sometimes. We take it for granted. The second he's back on the field, all of a sudden, look at how different everything opens up. To be fair, things even opened up before he was on the field. But yeah, absolutely huge. Got the change at center. That's a really interesting take. I'm going to be really paying attention to Hennessy's like PFF grade and some of the data that comes out on that, because I felt good about Hennessy, who played for Atlanta, if you remember, did well for them. But I felt like he was a backup. And I felt like we needed Drew Dahlman, who ended up in Chicago or something. I didn't really feel like Jake Brendel was it, but I didn't feel like Hennessy was the upgrade either. What we saw tonight felt pretty good there, so I'll take that there. Some other takes from you guys. Bethune played great. Nick Martin out there a little bit, looking great in special teams. George doesn't get many chances, but in my opinion, definitely unlocked that run game for sure. I liked Bethune a lot. He did really, really well. Chase Lucas out there did a really good job covering in Upton Stout's stead. In some cases felt more impactful, but you can't really say that because Upton Stout also just has kind of a miraculous way of making plays at times. And so I won't really go too hard on that one. But let's get into some of kind of the narrative for me coming out of this game. What's the big narrative for you? Let me know in the comments. For me, it's what the 49ers managed to do despite all of the odds, okay? You start with the fact that the 49ers have missing players. They're going in there without Nick Bosa. They're going in there without Fred Warner. They're going in there without Brock Purdy, without Ricky Pearsall. They're going out there without Brandon Ayuk. They're going out there trying to figure it out. And no offense to Demarcus Robinson, but the guy has given us nothing. Had one chance for an explosive play, drops the ball. We've seen it too many times. I'm not trying to say he can't be a great football player. We've seen him be a great football player. I believe he can be a great football player, and I'm not giving up on him. But I am telling you that without Brandon Ayuk, without Ricky Pearsall, I need guys like that to step up. We brought him in for a reason. He was here to cover while Ayuk was gone, and he has not done that yet. We're fortunate that the 49ers went out there and got Kendrick Bourne, and they won him over. Who was the other team he was going to go to? I think it was Washington Commanders, if I remember correctly. So got to give some massive credit there. But this 49ers team has defied the odds in what they're able to do. Every single analyst who picked the Atlanta Falcons said, without Fred Warner. How is this team going to do it without Fred Warner and Nick Bosa? How can this team do it? Which brings me to why I think when the prevailing narrative is overcoming the odds because of the trenches, you guys. Because of the trenches. Let me know who you felt did well in the trenches. But my word, I felt early on like, oh, we've had a lot of pressures here quietly. Like we're actually secretly playing really well on the defensive line. And the pressures are, the pressure rate is what I want to see. I can live with the fact that the quarterback doesn't get hit all the time, doesn't get sacked all the time, if we're getting to him and making him uncomfortable, giving him happy feet, making him throw the ball fast. We saw so many times tonight, Penix throws a bad ball, and it's because he's under pressure and has to get it out. And has to get it out quick. And that's what we need this season. We're playing a lot of young quarterbacks this season. You need to be able this season against the quarterbacks you're going to be playing, you need to be able to force them to get the ball out quick. And Bryce Huff, Sam Okuanu, Mykel Williams at times, like these guys made it happen. Tatum Bethune on the blitzes, Chase Lucas on a blitz. Like guys were getting involved, and you got to give Robert Saleh a huge, huge amount of credit for what he did for this defensive line, for how he schemed to make it very, very difficult on Penix. I'm a little bummed we didn't get an interception, but man, and I got a whole chart for you guys. I'll pull up in a minute here too, that I do just as I'm watching during the game. And so we'll talk about that too, but my word, you got to give some credit there. On the other side, you got to give this offensive line some credit. Yes, of course, massive, massive help having George Kittle back in the lineup. And this team looked like all of a sudden they were like, oh yeah, we remember how to do this now. And the offensive line looks so much better. They gave up pressures. They gave up a forced fumble kind of thing turned into an incomplete pass, whatever. So I'm not saying they were perfect by any stretch of the means, but you got to give this offensive line credit for how they ran the ball, because that's the number one thing you have to be able to do in this league. By the way, while we're talking about the trenches, and I got to flip back to defense, the way we stopped the run was miraculous to me. Not in the sense that like miraculous is too strong of a word. It almost is like a thing that you didn't think was possible. But truly, the way that they stopped the run was unbelievably epic. They stopped the run better than I expected them, way better than I expected them to. I kind of thought this was going to be one of those games where you're like, yeah, Bijan's going to go off. He's going to have a lot of yards, and we're going to have to find other ways to win. For me, I felt like we had to intercept Michael Penix once or twice, and we had to try to get to him with pressure at times. And we did that, but we also managed to stop the run pretty well. We gave up a couple big ones, but I felt really good about this defensive line. Got to give some massive credit there. And that's where I get to, like, this team has a will to win under Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan. You cannot fault either side of the ball. You can't do it. You can say like mistakes here and there for sure, but you can't say that this team doesn't have what it takes to win, because you've got a lot of young guys out there, a ton of starters who are young players. And they're out there, and a lot of second string guys. You got Curtis Robinson coming in there early in the game, a third string Mike linebacker, like a guy that you didn't think was probably going to find the field in like a normal defensive formation. You know what I mean? And so with all of these guys coming in, we saw this with the Rams game. We saw it even better tonight against the Falcons. This team's will to figure it out without all of the things that they want is unbelievable. It feels to me like you're going to a car show and you have your Lamborghini and you have your Ferrari and they get wrecked on the way. And you're like, well, we're still going to the car show and we're still going to show our best cars. And you're pulling out there with, little cars like a Lotus, and you've got like a Ford Pinto over there. And they're like, no, this is a good car. We're going to make it happen. And they're souping up these older cars or the younger cars. Like, you get what I'm saying. The analogy is starting to break down the further I go. The point is, I feel like we looked incredible, and you can't count this team out. You cannot ever say, nah, this team can't win this game. Like all of the ESPN analysts who said they weren't going to win this game, you got to be stoked on that. Let's see here from Zeke. I'm just so proud of this defense, man. And if we can just get a decent rotation guy to help out a little bit with the defensive line, we really don't need some huge splash. That's a really interesting point. Every fan obviously always would choose, if you're given the two options, you're like, yeah, go for the big guy, dude. Go for the big guy. Why wouldn't you? But Bryce Huff did something really special tonight, because he was a guy who was like brought in as a third down back, as an obvious pass situation you know what I mean, defensive end, as an obvious pass down guy. You expect him to do a very specific job with a very specific skill set. And then when Nick Bosa goes down, the conversation around Bryce Huff changes a little bit. And you don't have Yetur Gross-Matos, so you're losing your depth at that position as well. And I just imagine Robert Saleh sitting down with Bryce Huff and saying, hey man, I know what we brought you here for, but we got a new job for you. And it's called Nick Bosa. And you have to go be the new Nick Bosa. And I imagine him having the same kind of conversation with Mykel Williams, because even when Mykel Williams doesn't shed his blocker and all that kind of stuff, like, you got to give Mykel Williams some credit for how far back several times he's pushing that left tackle. So I know they made a big deal about how well the left tackle played, yada, yada, yada. I get it, whatever. He came in a little banged up and he was able to play. I was super excited about that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, of course, as always. Please let me know in the chat how you guys felt about this game, what the biggest moments were for you. There's so much there that we can go off of. I think we got away with a couple things, but compared to the Rams game, I really felt like we dominated this game. We deserved to win this game every which way. We earned it. And the Rams game, I think Rams fans walk away feeling like they let that game get away from them. And I feel like Falcons fans walk away from this game like, what are we doing? They just beat us. Like, you have to admit, the 49ers just played better ball. 100%. You have to admit that. And that's what's special to me. This was different from so many other games that we watched this season. This was different even from the Rams game, where the will and the desire and the ability to show up, defy all of the odds, all of the injuries, all of the narratives, and have an incredible running game. Have an incredible I got to get to the charts. I just realized. But anyway, we'll get to the charts right now. Let's do it now. I'm absolutely blown away by this team. They did such a great job. Okay, so let me hide Zeke's comment there. Yeah. Here we go. All right, so this is the drive summary for the 49ers offense. As you can see here, you've got a 3 punts in there you're not stoked about. You have that interception, of course, in the second drive. That was kind of Juwan Jennings' situation. He should have caught that ball. It's well enough thrown that he should catch it. I get it if it's not perfect, but as a wide receiver, you got to catch that ball. So then the drives that really stick out to me are the 49ers able to, and I should have put a knee on that bottom one there, so forget that. But the 49ers able to find the way to run the ball really well on these long sustained drives. We actually saw it last week too, even though they lost, and get some touchdowns in the red zone, really start to convert. That's another narrative that they've turned around. convert that narrative, change that narrative around what they are not able to do, quote unquote, in the red zone. And they overcame a lot here. You've got drive 6, drive 7 starts really, really low. Those drives ending in punts, not ideal. On the defensive side of the ball, look at this chart right now. Now, pink is good. Blue is good. Yellow, I should probably change that to like not good because, well, actually, that should be good. It's on the other one. It shouldn't be good. But anyway, who cares? The point is, when you're looking at what the 49ers forced on all 9 drives, okay, you've got punt, field goal, punt, fumble, intentional grounding that ends the half, touchdown, punt, turnover on downs, turnover on downs. That is pretty incredible, right? That's pretty incredible. You have to give some massive, massive credit to this 49ers defense for that chart right there. Like, I'm just staring at that chart, and I'm like actually in a little bit of disbelief. You gave up a touchdown, you gave up a field goal, but to have 9 drives, and of those 9 drives, only 3 of them are punts. You've got a fumble, you have 2 turnover on downs, and you have the intentional grounding situation that you give the 49ers credit for because they pressured him and he had to throw the ball away. But yeah, I mean, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I genuinely, I'm so stoked that this 49ers team has shown as much grit. And no offense to Nick Sorensen. I mean, it's going to offend him. Who cares? The deal with Nick Sorensen, the problem as I'm looking at what the 49ers defense didn't have last year, and what we talked about a million times with Robert Saleh, is the energy, quote unquote, that he brings. It's not just his sideline energy. Yeah, we love that. We love that. Fans love that. He gets on the field and he's pumped up after big plays. It's not just that. It's the energy that he brings the defense as a whole. It's the way that he schemes. It's the way that the team operates under him. The way that the optimism that they have when they go out there and you need a stop and they go and get it. Like, it just feels different with this team. We got to talk about special teams. Like, there are some issues with special teams today that is really, really frustrating. Several situations where I felt like, dude, like, how is it they can get to the 35 without being touched? And when we're on return, our first contact happens at like the 22. Like, what is going on here? Why can't our special teams get it together? But I don't want to get in the weeds on this one today because I'm looking at a guy named Christian McCaffrey who had 24 carries for 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had several 10-plus yard carries, several of them. And depending on those of you, like, some people call that explosive, some people don't, whatever, who cares? Several big plays from Christian McCaffrey. His ending average yardage is 5.4 yards per carry, which does not tell the story that he deserves to be told. Christian McCaffrey was unbelievable tonight. Had 72 yards through the air tonight. So he ends up ending on what? 201 yards total. I mean, from scrimmage. That is unbelievable. Christian McCaffrey had a heck of a game. 7 receptions, had a 17-yard long, 15-yard long on the ground. You got to give him credit for that. Brian Robinson Jr. did all right running the ball, did well. I felt like the offense just did really, really well running the ball in general. Kyle Juszczyk on the 1, frustrating 3rd down. I just didn't love that call. 3rd and 1, they try to get kind of get pretty with it, and they should have just done a QB sneak, or they should have run it up the gut. Don't try and do anything tricky because Kyle Juszczyk ends up a tackle for loss. Not ideal. Mac Jones on the day throws for the least number of yards he's thrown in the games that he's thrown, if I'm not mistaken. Throws a pick technically, but I'm not going to hold that one against him. Doesn't throw for a single touchdown, only throws for 150 yards. And you look at it and you're like, dude, that's because the run game was so good. Like, I can live with that. They only threw the ball 26 times, not 45, 26 times. So I can live with that. You know, I get why you're like, it would be really nice. It would be really nice if the 49ers could get Mac Jones like a little better there, if his yardage was a little better or whatever. Like, no, couldn't care less. This was a thrilling 20-10 victory. It felt so good. I love a 20-10 victory like that. And I normally would not be that guy. Normally I'd be like, yeah, West Coast offense. Let's see this. Let's see the points on the board. But I loved that. Everything about that was great because of the way that we came into the game, because of the way that it felt like this Atlanta team can just open you up. They've got a lot of weapons, and Bijan Robinson is the best in-form running back in the league right now, quote unquote, right? In form. But I think Christian McCaffrey just showed him up. Big time. Big time. Absolutely. Let's get to some more of your guys' takes out there. Not true. Not true, unfortunately. Ronaldo Green went down with a toe. You lost your center, Jake Brindle. But in general, none of the big guys, considering Darrell Luter Jr. actually played very, very well for the most part in Ronaldo Green's stead. I'm going to say the mistakes that Darrell Luter Jr. made are mistakes Ronaldo Green has made as well. So I'm not going to say there was any much of a drop-off at all at that position. I didn't feel a drop-off at center, but watching the game back will definitely reveal that. I couldn't believe that the Falcons left those points off the board at the end of the first half. That was insane. It's definitely a huge turning point. Couldn't agree more. Yep, great take, David. Thank you for that one. Great win. Still need a defensive end to replace Bosa. The offensive line was much better, probably because Kittle's back. I'm glad they got Pinheiro. Yeah, Pinheiro, you got to give him some credit. He kind of boinked one, so to speak, slightly off the inside of the upright in on a point after. And he's only ever been shaky on those like short ones, which is the funniest part. His big, deep ones, he's been so good. And he's 17 of 17 on actual field goals, so not including point afters. And that is unbelievable. That is an incredible stat. You got to give him a great shout for that one. 1,000% agree. Our coverage is terrible on special teams and our blocking too. It's insane. We're better than we were. Still got a lot to work on. And you're right. That's exactly right. That's a good perspective to have. That's exactly how to say it. We have made huge strides on our special teams. We got to give credit where credit's due. You got Sky Moore actually moving when the ball's going to land near the 5-yard line. Good job, Sky. You did it, man. But yeah, so we've definitely improved for sure. But I'm still not stoked about a lot of what I'm seeing on special teams outside of our outstanding kicker, Eddie Pinheiro. Got to give him some love. Seeing the run game finally get going was amazing. I'm so happy right now. Can't wait for you guys to get better and better, man. I'm hyped. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I'm hyped with you for sure. Only problem, says Ryan, is that they're going to give us a heart attack every game. Yeah, you're right. You're right. This team is not currently set up right now under Mac Jones without Brandon Ayuk. This is not a run away from you kind of team right now. This is a team, the only time this whole season we've seen runaway kind of football was against the Rams in the first half. And that's the only time we've seen it in the whole year. So yeah, I'd agree with you, man. I'd agree with you. It is unfortunately not a runaway from your team, which means that you are going to be in games that feel like nail biters and close. But when you look at like the Kansas City Chiefs last year, they got so much help from the referees. So I'm not going to act like they did that. They did it themselves, but they won a lot of close games. Like it was like 9 of the games were super, super close and they won them. And that is definitely football. You want to get to the Super Bowl, you have to win close games. You have to be a team that can grind and be flexible and find new ways to win and make up for issues other part of the team is making in a game. So for sure. Yeah, for sure. Last year, we lost these games 100%. 100%. That's what I'm talking about. Ryan, you're absolutely 1,000% on it. The 49ers, these are games the 49ers were losing, and they're games that the 49ers won. They've won this season. And I almost feel like I wish we'd won the Jacksonville game and lost a different one if we were allowed to trade it out. Because I felt like the Jacksonville game was a game that was so fluky in so many ways that the fact that we were still in that game with how many turnovers there were, it's like we should have won that game because it's the character the team has shown all season long that they're capable of staying in games despite mistakes. And that's what I'm really excited about. I'm really excited this team has the composure and ability, which I got to give a lot of that credit to Robert Saleh, the composure and ability to make it happen. You got to give some credit to Mac Jones too, by the way, who did make some big plays, did make some big throws. And when he does sling it not quite at the bullet that Michael Penix was throwing tonight, my word, but he slings it hard and he gets it there, which is something that I'll take for sure. Let's see here. Technically, the Falcons are better. Jacksonville's in the AFC. Yeah, for sure. I'll take you there. I agree. Ryan Jones, LMAO, blood pressure be wild. Yes, 100%. Okay. Penix is better than I expected. Tonight he was actually significantly worse too, though. He's actually had some really good games. But I would love to know what the mile per hour rating on his passes are, because he is slinging the ball hard right now. I can't believe it. Okay. We need to remove Bosa, Warner, Purdy, etc. from the conversation. Let's talk who is. Run game was huge today. Welcome back, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. Say no more. Well done, Niners. I hear you, man. I'm not trying to. Yeah, you're right. You're right. We have to be careful how much we talk about the guys who have not been there. I'm with you. It's a post game. I get it. I think the only point that I'm trying to make by talking about these guys is to say how much of a step up it is and how not guaranteed anything is in this league when you lose big pillars like these guys. That's all I'm trying to say. And I think it underscores how courageous this team has played and with the quality of which they have played despite all of the odds. Thanks for the take. Appreciate it so much. Give me your final thoughts before we go. I'm trying to look back on the comments to see if I've missed anything. I think I've got most of it here. And yeah. Niners fan from England. Let's go. Doing the opposite thing. So it's really late right now. It's one thing if we're on our side, we wake up really early to watch your games. You have to stay up really late to watch ours. So, good for you staying up for that one. Let's see here. Oh, I missed this one. I know everyone and their mothers thought Bijan was going to tear us apart, and the boys stepped up. Absolute dogs. Absolutely. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I have been hyping up Tatum Bethune since last preseason. I saw something in him. Ryan, you know what? Dude, I think I remember you commenting when I was talking about linebackers in maybe this year's preseason, and I didn't mention Bethune, and you called me out on it, and you were like, hey, don't forget about him. So Ryan's a real one, you guys. He's a real one. Apparently Warner did too. Not everyone is seeing it. He'll be starting when Warner gets back. That would be interesting. Man. D Winters is playing lights out right now too. So that's a trickier thing. But you definitely think this is great for Bethune's career. Whatever happens with him, this is good for him. And he's got a lot of football left to play. So he's going to get a lot of reps. He's going to get a lot of learning. And what the 49ers do with Bethune is really, really interesting. I like that thought, man. I like that thought. I'm proud of the boys. Can't wait for Purdy, Pearsall, and others to come back and light this league up. Let's go, boys. You know what? On this thought, so many people, myself included, said in order for this team to do something and get to the playoffs and et cetera, they've got to have an elite offense. And I was proved wrong today. They had a good offense. I'm not trying to hate at all on the offense. They played very well. They ran the ball unbelievably well. Got to give huge credit. But this defense played incredibly fantastic, courageous, attitude football. Some of the hits that were on there. Who was? Chase Lucas had a big hit. Bethune had a couple nice thumpers. There was a hit on there, and I'm trying to remember who was it that hit Algier that took his head off. That literally looked like he was gonna. He ended up getting up really slow from that injury. That was Bethune and somebody else. Somebody else hit. Oh, Bryce Huff, I think. Bryce Huff was the other guy who hit him. Yeah, man. This defense is good too. It's not just the offense. Oh, Mustafa, you're right. There it is. It was Mustafa. That's it. Let's see. Siegel started the game, which surprised me. Jair Brown came in as well, played. We had Jason Pinnock in there playing some big nickel. So the interesting looks from the 49ers in what they're trying to figure out about the safety position. They said they were giving Tig Brown the start, but Siegel was in at the beginning. But I couldn't tell at the time, was I just seeing Siegel? So we have to watch it back. I didn't see Brown out there at the very, very beginning. But anyway, throughout the game, I thought Brown played pretty well. There was one big coverage mishap that pretty much all of them had. Brown had one. Siegel had one. But overall, I thought everyone played pretty well. So I'm going to give some love there. Interesting on the take that Lucas. I clicked too many here. That Lucas should be a starter. Malik Mustafa's for sure a starter. They already committed to him being the starter. They said his role's set, and then the free safety role is up for grabs right now. And tonight's game was a huge factor for that. But Chase Lucas is interesting because in this preseason he looks really good. And you know what makes Lucas special? And Upton Stout can still develop this skill because Upton Stout's very fast and very powerful for his weight. But Chase Lucas looked really good in the blitz in preseason, and he looked good tonight as well. So you got to give some credit there for sure. Yes, they were mixing safeties up. Exactly. Mustafa smacked him 100%. Coverage on, try again. Here we go. Coverage on defensive plays, way off the receivers is why we're tackling or we're lacking interceptions. Yeah, for sure. That's a great take for sure. We keep putting pressure on the quarterback like this, though. Like some of that stuff's going to work itself out. Quarterback's going to make mistakes. Penix basically just, went into that. I don't know how well like the Falcons were able to, with Jeff Ulbrich having that insider scoop on how Saleh play schemes and Saleh having Ulbrich's insider scoop because they coached together. Obviously former 49er, but like, I don't know if they anticipated that the 49ers were gonna go a little bit heavier on the blitz tonight, which they did. But Penix, it looked to me like they had already pre-planned, just throw it away. He threw it away a lot tonight. And like not all the throwaways are obvious throwaways, but you can tell when you're watching the replay, you're like, oh, he just threw that away for sure. So that is interesting in itself. But I think interceptions will come. Penix has been his bad throw percentage is higher than anybody else in the league. We talked about that earlier this week. And so I think they're probably telling him going into this game, like, you just got to start throwing it away. I would rather you throw it away and we try and figure it out than you keep putting the ball in harm's way for sure. I already read that one there. Chase needs more opportunities for sure. I really like his play, man. He plays with a lot of energy. Yeah, for sure. That's something Upton Stout does too. They both do. And so they're kind of an interesting situation there that you really like both guys. That's a hard thing that happens sometimes when you have two guys that you really like at the same position, but it's a singular position and it's a starting role, and you don't really like rotate the nickel a lot. That's not like a normal thing to do. You need a solid nickel. But yeah, I'm with you there. Let's see here. O-line had their best game this season. I'd agree. They're starting to look a lot better as a unit with the help Kittle on the run. They're going to improve a lot more in the coming weeks. Yep, you're absolutely right. Agree with you on all of that for sure. Two great guys talking about Chase Lucas and Upton Stout. Good problem. You're right. That's a great problem to have. We can play better as underdogs. Carolyn, great take. 2023, the 49ers come out of that season, nearly won the Super Bowl, should have won the Super Bowl. You come into 2024, the 49ers are picked to win every single game. They have, by data, the best roster in football. By all of the metrics, the best roster in football. They have the most top 100 players, like all of them, okay? They have the best roster in football, okay? And what happens to the 6-11 49ers last year? Yeah, they look bad. Tebow looks slow. They don't look good, right? And now this team is hungry, it's young, and they're underdogs. They're going into every game almost feeling like underdogs because you've got, at the best case scenario, half of the analysts out there are picking the other team to win. Even against like the Saints, you guys, even against the Saints, the 49ers had half the people picking the Saints to win. So yeah, 100%. You're absolutely right. This team is playing like underdogs, and it's a good place to be in the sport of football in general, but I'm 100% with you. 100% with you. Let's see here. Leroy, what's up, man? This was the game I was waiting to see. Won by a 2-score margin. That's a great take too. We didn't talk about that. You're absolutely right. Wow. Yeah, I called this winning a close game because it felt like that. Your heart racing. Ryan Jones was talking about that. It did feel like a close game, but really in the end, yeah, it was a 2-score game. And the way that the game ended was so much more comfortable because of that, for sure. You're absolutely right. I think history, especially from this season, like plays into your mind a little bit. And like, I didn't feel comfortable until I saw them knee the ball. And like at one point in like the last minute, I was like, they needed the ball. And I was like, Why am I freaking out? They literally have to have 2 possessions to win this game. But yeah, 100% with you there. Let's see here. Spread jumped all the way. The 49ers opened at minus 3.5. For a while they were at plus 2.5. That's crazy, dude. That is crazy. I did not see that. I saw minus 1.5. That was the lowest that I saw, but that's pretty wild. That is pretty wild. Let's see. Robinson with that drop is so frustrating for sure. For sure. I'm not trying to get off on all the negative things, but that was the most frustrating play of the game for me because it was an explosive, because it was a put the game away kind of drive. It was so not drive. It was a put the game. The drive position was a put the game away kind of moment. If you go and score a touchdown there, it really feels like the game is out of the way. So that was a bummer. And this is not the first drop from Demarcus Robinson. Demarcus Robinson. You get what I'm saying. This is not the worst drop from him. So, yeah, that was disappointing for sure. 49ers will keep developing and getting better. Bethune was a beast. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He compared to last game, right, where he gets thrown into the fire, this looked like, and I thought he looked good at times last game, had some nice big tackles and stuff, but yeah, absolutely looked so much more the part today. Big moment for him. This year and last year, the 49ers have had too many drops. Agree with you, but this year I'm looking at the drops and I'm like, it's Kendrick Bourne, who has kind of made up for it. Demarcus Robinson, who has not made up for it. Juwan Jennings has had a couple, but I can live with that with Juwan because of all the other things he gives you. But yeah, and George Kittle technically has a drop. That was a bad pass. There's so many. The drops are interesting this season. I think at the end of the day, if you have full strength, all of your wide receivers out there, or at least most of your wide receivers are out there, then you'd be a lot more mad about the drops. But you got a backup quarterback. I mean, these guys throw differently. They have different pace on the ball. Mac Jones throws with so much more pace. So you can see, like, Juwan Jennings is not as comfortable catching the ball from Mac Jones. I've seen it more than one game. I'm not just making that up. I truly believe that. So I think that's tricky for sure. The Robinson drop probably is so frustrating because it was like, I think it was it Al Michaels or whoever it was that was like, that was like a punt return. Like the ball was like coming in and it's like, what are you doing, man? Catch the ball. How'd you not catch that ball? That's embarrassing. CMC had an outstanding game. Cannot rely on him though. I like to see the ball spread out more. Credit to Kittle with blocking to help them run. Yeah, I think the Niners are just trying to get through this right now, Nicole. They're just trying to get through this right now. And if you get through this, however you have to do it, even if it means Christian McCaffrey's getting an unbelievable amount of touches, then it puts you in a position. And you're right. If he ends up injured in a few weeks, you're kicking yourself. And you're like, man, did we do this to him? Is this our fault? And that's a risk that you're making there. I don't think Brian Robinson Jr. is playing at the level that you would expect out of your RB2 right now to split reps. Like if you want to go with the Detroit Lions kind of 50-50 run there, like David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, you're not going to get that kind of a setup right now with Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson Jr. because he's not running at that level right now. And there's not a change of pace thing. You actually ideally want a faster guy as your RB2, but Brian Robinson Jr. is more of a power back. So he's great in a 3rd and long or 4th and long, but the threat of Christian McCaffrey in a 3rd and long, 4th and long, short, 3rd and short, 4th and short. The threat of Christian McCaffrey makes him too good to not have on the field. So it's a really tricky situation there. 200 plus yards from CMC. Yeah, I think it was 201 if I'm not mistaken, scrimmage yards. So yes, 100%. Yeah. It's his non-injury year. Yeah, you look through his history. You're like, injury, good. Injury, good. Injury, good. So there's one there. I'd like to see CMC and Robinson out there at the same time. One of them split out as a receiver. I'd like to see Robinson in Juszczyk's role a little bit. I think the way that they use Juszczyk is really creative, and I just think Juszczyk's kind of losing some of that speed, and his blocking is good but not great. I'd like to see Brian Robinson out there with some of that stuff. I'd also like to see Luke Farrell. I've talked about this earlier this week. I'd like to see Luke Farrell in Juszczyk's spot a few times. I'd like to see it mixed up a little bit more too. I love Juice. Like he made I don't remember what drive it was. I have it in my notes in here somewhere. he made a block that was the most important block of that drive easily. And I can't find which drive it was. I don't remember what half it was. But, he's a good player. We need him around. I'm all about it. But, yeah, speaking of the 3 tight ends there, looking good. I did not see Jake Tonjes out a whole lot. I'd like to see the snap counts on that. George Kittle's out a lot, obviously. I saw Luke Farrell out a few times as well. Gets a catch. But I'm wondering what they did with Jake Tonjes. I talked about this earlier this week. I'd really like to see 2 tight end sets of a variety, because now we can. You put Luke Farrell out, that's a terrible, that's like a terrifying run threat. 2 tight end set with Luke Farrell and George Kittle. You put Jake Tonjes out there, you're not as much of a threat in the run, but your threat in the pass is unbelievable. So there's so much the 49ers can do right now. I absolutely love that. So I'm feeling really good on that one. Tonjes was the number 1 blocker on the whole offensive line last week. Yeah, that's crazy. Is that a PFF stat you're saying there? That's pretty wild, dude. That's pretty wild. Let's see here. All right. I got to get going. And tomorrow is going to be electric. I can't wait to continue breaking down all of this game and watching it back. Thank you, Ryan. PFF it was. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I did not notice that. Good find. But I cannot wait to continue talking about this game and breaking down what this means for the 49ers, who are now 7 days away from traveling to Houston to play the Texans. This is a huge win, guys. This is a huge win. I don't think I can say it big enough. A Sunday night under the lights, everybody is up for the game. Everybody is, they know the moment. They know that everybody's watching. And this first time in the real prime time, like Thursday night's big. They showed up for that too, and they beat the Rams. That was great. But really, like, what they did tonight is something special. To shut down that offense with that many weapons, you have to appreciate and feel good about what this young team, what this young defense especially, is figuring out how to do under Robert Saleh. The future is really, really good. The future is looking really good for the team. They're going to have ups and downs. There's still rookies are going to make rookie mistakes, but I really like where this team's going. I don't know. I have no inside scoop on this, but I believe Robert Saleh is going to be with us for 2 years. And I think what we might be left with in the end, 2 years from now, is a very good looking defense. Everything, all the pieces that we need, the pillars back. Like this is a good looking team. The future is very bright. Cannot wait to talk to you guys about the next one. Thanks so much for being in there in the chat. This team is 5-2. Let's go. I'm so there. I'm trying really hard not to scream and yell right now because my kids are asleep, but I'm feeling so fired up about it. I'm probably not going to fall asleep for like several hours there. So appreciate all of you guys in the chat. Let's go Niners. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Let's go.